So does everyone play guitar? Okay, cool. Um, Actually, I'm going to start acoustic. Since it's 10:30 in the morning, I'm gonna start by getting warmed up, ramped up, and then so hold your question, or don't hold, like collect questions to ask, and they can be as detailed as you want about guitar, since everybody plays. Guitar effects, sound concept, soloing concepts. I could talk forever about soloing concepts if you want. Or you can ask about the hat and boots, guitar picks, whatever you like. I'm going to start an acoustic though. And all the stories are really long, but I'll gladly tell them if you want. And this is a Godin nylon Grand Concert. Do you guys sell Godin guitars here? Only used. But I've seen. Do you have one in the store now? Because you have a multi-act, yeah. Cool. I have a couple of full-size acoustic guitars, Martins and Taylors, stuff like that. But for traveling, I can get this guitar and an electric guitar in a double gig bag and get it on a plane. And also, I have a weird hand issue, so playing this guitar all day long won't hurt me. But playing a steel string, full-size acoustic, I get about a half hour, and then I'm like done. So I limit it to about a half hour every day, or every day, whenever I do play it, for even recording. So I'm going to start acoustic. This is called Tears of a Woman, and they're happy tears. So, do you guys? How many of you guys use loopers? It's fun, right? It's also a great educational tool. Just to, unless you can get a friend that you can call over and go, "Hey, come here, play these chords," and just those chords. Just play them over and over and over, while I'm going to solo for the next 17 hours. But it helps you in practicing soloing. Helps you build it. Helps you practice working on melody lines. Of course, you could do it with a computer and recording and stuff like that, which I do as well. But that's a whole nother. This is just sitting down and playing. You just step on the looper and it loops back. Robin, you're looking at me like, what's a looper? A looper lets me do stuff like this. But with right chords. So it just plays back what I just played, so I can. So I can do stuff like that. And then when I do songs that I played multiple guitar parts on a record, I can play with myself. Here's another song from that first song is called Tears of a Woman. It's from my acoustic record, which came out in 1995. I just had a brain freeze. I couldn't remember which one was the low end on this. Another song from that record is called Cinderella. And on the record, there's like 8 guitar parts layered. And I did a tour after the record came out with 2 friends playing guitars with me, acoustic guitars. But I was like, I don't know, I'm going to do this live. And then I started looping them more. So I'll see if I can do that now. This is called Cinderella. And it's named after the woman that I made this record in my friend's basement back when people weren't making their own records. And because now you can make a record on your iPhone and someone can film you making a record on your iPhone and put that up on YouTube, and then you can have the record for sale by the middle of next week. But, huh? See, there you go. Yeah. These days, but back in those days, you had to you need a lot more gear and a lot more time, and I needed a lot more practice. But that was a cool record to make, and it kept me in the music business. I'll keep some of the stories short because some of them will last forever. If you really want to know a specific story, let me know. The long ones. And this pedal is bringing in the sound of heaven. So I bring it in a little bit here and there. You guys are Eventide? I should ask you this before. Are you Eventide dealers? Yeah. So actually, I left my H9 in the car, but you can do the same sound with an H9. You need a little bit more stuff, like another pedal and another delay, and a wah, auto wah after it. But you can do with an H9. Took me a minute to get the timing right on that. I'm gonna say it's because it's early in the morning. Anyway, so on the record there's that one guitar part, and then the next part is then there's a part that goes underneath it. Then underneath there's another guitar that's kind of like. There's a couple more guitars coming later, but I'd like to put the bass line on too. Cinderella. If you don't have a looper, I highly recommend you get a looper. And have fun playing. I'm going to switch to electric because I think my fingers are almost there. And are you guys holding questions? Yes. One looper. I was overdubbing. Yeah. And so I'm using a Fractal Audio AX8, which is a boutique modeler, but there's I do have one of the HX Stomps, which has a looper in it too, as I use that as a backup. Stuff they have in the store is the Line 6 stuff. I'm pretty sure there's some you guys TC electronic dealers? Yep. So I have the Ditto looper and the big Ditto looper, and they'll work great. You could buy a looper these days for $100, right? Yeah. So start with those, and a lot of them will let you just keep overdubbing, just layering and layering and layering. And some of them more advanced that have like different. You can actually turn you can lay 4 loops and then they're separate, but they're in time with each other. And you can turn them off and on and off. If you watch Ed Sheeran, he's got the multi-looper thing down together. Yes, you had a question in the back. Well, I just have a simple looper. It's one looper, but I can overdub as much until it starts to make craziness. But there are like 7 on the TC. Oh, nice. That you can control separately. Oh, okay. Ah. Do you carry Boss Roland stuff too, or no? Yeah. So they have a couple loopers. They have a desktop looper too, but the TC sounds really good. They all sound really good.
How you getting that string sound? That angelic sound.
It's the chain is compressor. There's 2 chains. Compressor. EQ is off. Chorus. Parallel delay. Looper. The bottom chain is another compressor, I do believe. A multi delay, which is like I think it's 8 delays playing, and then as an auto wah behind it to make it swoosh, and it's slow. It's moving slow, and then there's a reverb, a delay, and then it goes into the main delay. So you get you hear it moving. Well, the concept of it moving is from like the old school synthesizer. You hit one chord, and the chord doesn't just sit there; it moves. So that's what the swooshing is. The auto wah is making it feel like it's moving. Yes. No, that's a chain of stuff. When I just ran into my old friend Leo, I was in a band with 40 years ago, almost. We were in a Rush tribute band 40 years ago. Really popular with the ladies. Really popular. So popular that we couldn't handle it. I said, we really need to start doing some Police songs and Zebra and Triumph. And then the ladies changed. They actually came inside and listened. Nothing against Rush. I love Rush, but if you do 40 Rush tunes, no. Yeah. Oh yeah. We were in our teens too. The reason I started telling you is because in that band I had 2 pedal boards. I had a pedal board with 10 pedals for clean and a pedal board with 11 pedals for lead, and I had an AB box in the middle to go from one to the other. Because you had to all right, solo's coming up, turn that on, all right, turn this off, and go. And then you had to, in the middle of the solo, you had to go backwards. All right, turn that off, and ready, go. And now I hit one button and everything changes. But so I got into effects really early, and I got into, if you're going to get into effects, I personally wouldn't recommend the multi-effect unit for your first thing. I would say get like one, come in, find one pedal, ask about it, read online about it. And I don't mean one particular brand. I'm talking about the style, a flanger or a delay or reverb or pitch or something like that. And then take it home and just turn every knob every which way for a week. And I did this as a kid. I would, just make sure. That's how I found the spaceship sounds and the ray gun sounds. And my mom would come in and go, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, listen to this ray gun, this spaceship sound." She'd be like, "Yeah, you need to do something else with that pedal." but I would go, "Oh, this sounds nice. This sounds nice. Oh, that's weird. That's awful." But I'll find a spot for that. I kept it in my mind, how to get that sound and stuff like that. And then you go get another pedal, and then you get another pedal, and then you move the order around and see what happens when you change the order. The order of effects is just as important as the effect to get a certain sound. Like I said, with the that swishy sound, the reverb, to get the swishy, there's an auto wah. And normally you think of auto wah differently. So this is an auto wah. That's what's behind that nice, cool, swirly stuff. Just a wah, just going whoosh. But I'm not hitting notes like that. I'm hitting one note, and it's also in the background underneath. And a side note, when you put an octaver in front of the auto wah, it gets really funky. So I stack a lot of effects. Sure, it's just a matter of what you have in it. I don't know, and I'm not sure what effects. There's got to be a delay and a reverb in it. So, yeah, sure. As long as you got like the reverb I have is like this. Here's another one. This won't swirl because I don't have the auto wah in it. But this is my pad. Don't get fired. Playing with a singer-songwriter pad sound. So that's stagnant. That's not swimming. That's not moving. This does work really nice under poems if you want to read a poem. I'm just saying, if there are any poets out there, I got a feeling there's a poet out there somewhere. But so this is a multi-delay into a reverb, into a delay, and into another delay. Because I like delays. That could be why I'm always late. The Fractal has like 225 amps or 240 amps, I think. It's a great time to be a guitar player. All the Line 6 stuff has tons of amps, and then the Kemper. There's so many. Hot Tone just came out with their thing, Ampero. They have a whole bunch of amp models. And then when I walked in, the guys here were talking about the Strymon, which is just three amp models, but I bet it sounds great. Analog amp modeling, and Tech 21. I have the Flyrig 5. They have amp models. But live, I don't want to drive the sound guy crazy. So I use 3 amplifiers. I use the lead crunch amp is always the same. It's a Plexi in the Fractal. It's called the 1987 X Plexi, and I have a 1973 Plexi 100 watt that it sounds amazing, but it's unbelievably loud. And when I played it in the Billy Squier band, Billy used one of those for his clean sound, and then a 50 watt JCM 800 for his lead, non-master volume amp. And it sounds great, but I can't take. I'm not taking mine out of the house, and I love the convenience of this. And for clean, I use the Keith Urban Tweed, which I knew about, but I got to see. I'm a Keith Urban fan, so I flew to the Houston Rodeo to see Keith Urban do a sound check and hear the band. And I got on stage and go, where's Keith's amps? And they go, he's been Fractal for like the last year. I'm like, what? And so what amp is using? I heard the amp. I was like, oh, I must try the Keith Urban Tweed. And then I used I recommended to a friend of mine that busted my chops for 4 years about using amp modeling. And he's like, why are you doing that? You can do. And then he got into a band and country band and started traveling a lot. And after a while, he called me up and goes, hey, what's that thing you use? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, the thing you just plug into the PA. And I said, you mean my Fractal? He goes, yeah. So I took him around, and the Fractal, we've determined the Fractal wasn't the right thing for him. So I recommended the Kemper for him, and he got it. And he liked it. He kept calling me up. He goes, yeah, it sounds good. It's not quite the same. And I said, make your own profiles. Just like if I let you guys plug into my rig, you'll be like, oh, this sounds cool. And then if you mess with it, the way you dial an amp in, you'll be like, oh, this is great. Because that's it. If I plug into your amplifier at home, your real tube amplifier, I'm going to start turning knobs to get it to. Everything's different about it. So when he did that, he called me up. He goes, this thing's amazing. I'm selling all my amps. And I was like, you don't need to sell all your amps. I have a bunch of tube amps too. But he gave me his 1964 Tremolux amp because he got rid of it. He was getting rid of it, and he just gave it to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. I never heard of a Tremolux before. I never heard one. Plugged it in and go, oh, man, this is great. Oh, wait, there's one in a Fractal. And that's one of my clean sounds now. So I use the Keith Urban Tweed, the Tremolux for clean, and then that is the Plexi, the regular Plexi. It's the jump Plexi. It's 100 watts. And I hit it with a boost in front for lead. It's not an overdrive pedal, really. It's just a boost. It is a drive pedal, I guess. So I'm pushing the amp a little bit more. Say it again? Oh, yeah. Then when I hit it with the boost, oops. The clean sound. And those are really the three amps that I use for live. And if I use a recording, I'll try a bunch of different amps. I have the AC 15. I forget which one it is. Top boost. Sounds great for a lot of stuff. I use the same cabinet for all. So a lot of times, you can set up so you can use a different cabinet for the clean amps and the Fender amps and then the Marshalls and stuff like that. But I found that sometimes that drives sound guys crazy. They're constantly go, wait, let me just switch, and then you switch back to it, and let me switch. So it's the same cabinet. I would probably do something like that live. One of my favorite guitar players is Eric Johnson. Absolutely favorite guitar player. When you go see Eric play live, the first time he takes a solo, it feels like your ears get like just sucked out of your head. He gets bright, chimey, clean sound, and he steps on the lead, just. And then by the end of the solo, you're like, oh, okay, that sounds really cool. That sounds great. But it takes you a minute to get used to because he's switching amps and cabinets and everything and stuff like that. But that's Eric. Eric is just amazing. So let him do whatever he wants to do. For me, I use the same amps. And again, like I say, it is a great time to be a guitar player because there's so much. I'm getting these tones. And I'm at the mercy of the sound. I have no volume up here other than what, that's why you should never piss off the sound guy. See? So I can get this sound at any volume. I could be in a hotel room through little mobile phone speakers and get the same tone. Or you can do a stadium and I travel. Most of my gigs are fly gigs, so I get off the plane, I roll in a laptop briefcase, and pull out the rig. The only thing I'm missing, because it's in my car, is my Eventide H9, which I use for extra effects sometimes. I'll show you some more. Any more questions about effects and tones and stuff? Okay. All right. Keep thinking. All right. This has. I also love the fact that these days that I don't have to tap tempo really, because I can program the songs to have the right tempo. Thank you. Hello. So, did you guys save up some questions? Yes. I do use Pro Tools. I've been using Pro Tools since the big crash of, 99. 98, 99, 99. That's when I started. Ooh, tricky question. Are you doing just your music? So I produce singer-songwriters, Native American artists, world music, rock, gospel R&B, contemporary Christian, my stuff, folk. So I have a huge library of plugins and samples and stuff like that because I have to. If I was just doing my music, I would have a tenth of the stuff that I have. So you have to figure out what you're doing, what your style is, and then search out the plugins, like the piano sounds, the synthesizer sounds, and if you're using drum programming, figure out the drum sounds that you like, and just do that. You don't have to go crazy on buying plugins because it's so hard to keep track of everything. Does that make any sense? Okay. That's a tricky question. I've been in, like I said, Pro Tools forever, so I bought it or I owned it outright, and I had to pay a small fee to continue doing it. I paid $99 a month, $99 a year. All the DAWs are really pretty even now. So I mean, there's Studio One that I've seen a bit. I just taught a 3-week workshop on guitar and recording in New Smyrna Beach. And we covered so many different programs. One guy was adamant about Cubase. Some guy switched from Reaper to Pro Tools. I didn't tell him to, but that's what they wanted to do. There's so many out there. Are you using one right now? Pro Tools is in a funky spot right now. If you're using a Mac, no version of Pro Tools will work on the current Macs if you bought one right now. If you have an older Mac and you haven't updated to the current operating system, it'll work. I use Pro Tools. I use a lot of MIDI stuff too, and I have no problems. I've run into keyboard players that are like, they don't like the MIDI system in Pro Tools and stuff. I've been using it for years, so it's what I got to use, and I'm very comfortable, and I move very quickly on it. I have friends that use, like I said, Cubase, or they used Nuendo was the thing for a while too. There's there's a free version of Pro Tools that you can download and see if you like the way it works. It's got some funky things, like you can't actually, when you record the parts, they go up into the cloud and you can't get the parts. You can mix them, but you can't export the tracks down anymore. You can bounce it down and export the final thing. Try that and see. It's free. It's 16 tracks, but at least you'll get an idea what you can do with it if you want to do it. Check out Reaper, which I think is $60. Studio One, it comes free with a lot of things too. If you buy some devices, even guitar things, you'll get Studio One or even a version of Cubase as well. Just experiment, see which one is appealing to your eyes visually and your workflow as well. Yes. This is, well, all three pickups are Damasio's. This is Damasio Area 67s in the neck in the middle, and it's a Satch track neck pickup in the bridge. So it's a humbucker. These are noise canceling, and this is a stacked humbucker. I call it squeezed. It's pinched and squeezed. But it's funny, when I got into Nags guitars, it's a small boutique company made in Maryland. They're incredible guitars. Joe Nags, who ran the PRS private stock program, he created it for PRS guitars, and he ran that program for many, many years. And so they made all the super high-end PRS guitars. And now that those guys are the Nags company. He recommended, he puts Lindy Fralin pickups in, or like really boutique pickups, which sound really cool. But I've been a Damasio endorsee for 30 years, more than 30 years, more than 30 years. So I had an idea what I wanted to do, and I wanted to try. And I asked for Steve Blucher, who works at Damasio, what he recommended. He recommended this. I told him what I wanted. He recommended this pickup, and I put it in. Joe put it in, and it worked great. That was on the first version of this guitar that I have, the first version of my model. And then when Joe built me this guitar, I said, you know, Joe, I'll give it a shot. Whatever you would put in the guitar, I'll try it. And he put in Lawler Blackface pickups, I believe, and they worked great. It wasn't for like if I was just doing sideman gigs, I could use those pickups great. For doing the sideman gigs and the assorted of my stuff, and I do a lot of very different type of sideman gigs. I played with Tracy Chapman for a while. I did tour with Tracy, and I did tour with Billy Squier back to back. Those are different kind of sideman gigs. And then I play with Joy Harjo, the current United States Poet Laureate, and my volume is lower than I'm talking, but it has to be clear and present, and I'm doing like really ethereal kind of stuff. These pickups work for that. They work for the rock stuff. They work for my rock stuff. So I tried the Lawler Blackface, which is I like. I actually used them on in another guitar on a record until I came to a friend of mine invited me to sit in with him in a club in Columbus, Georgia. I got there, and I was recording with the guitar, and it's the other version of his guitar, and it sounded great. I get to the club, and immediately, I was like, what is that? He goes, oh, you always had single coils in that guitar? I said, well, these are real single coils. He goes, oh, this is the worst club in Columbus to play with real single coils. I was like, oh, great, now you tell me. So the whole night was, and then like a week later, my friend John Kurzwig, who's from Florida, lives in Tallahassee. He produced Creed and Puddle of Mud and Godsmack and a bunch of bands. He invited me to come down to Tallahassee to play. I brought a Telly, I brought a vintage Telly, and my other version's guitar with the Lawler pickups in it. I get there, he goes, oh, you can't use the Telly here. I'm like, why? He goes, this is the worst club in Florida, the worst club in Tallahassee to use single coil pickups. And I'm like, oh crap. He goes, why? I said, these are single coil pickups too. And he goes, oh. And it was a night of buzz fest. Yeah. Single coil pickups will buzz. Like if I did this, the lights, depending on when you turn, it'll. But as you can hear, these are dead silent. So, and I kept saying, if I did a tour as a sideman, I'd get fired. Somebody would, a singer, like a big singer, would turn to me and go, do you need some money for a real guitar? Because they won't understand that like the pickups are buzzing because of the lights or whatever, single coils. So that's what I have in here, and all of the versions of my model, same in that. That's a semi-hollow guitar, and it's the same pickups, and it works. What do you have in your guitar? Yeah, can you show me your guitar? It's a shameless plug. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. So Nags did a really, really wonderful, sweet thing for me. I use this guitar a lot, and I've let lots of kids with disabilities hold it, play it. I've let around the world, many people have touched my guitar, held it, played it, taken photos with it. So Nags made 5 exact replicas of this guitar, and 3 of them were here in Florida for a minute. John bought one, and at the artist residency I was teaching at, one of the guys from Germany bought one, and one of the guys who came from Spain bought one. So we had a nice little meetup and stuff like that. Isn't that the most amazing? Yeah. Oh, are you okay with other people? Because they can play my guitar if you want. Yeah. Yeah, it's just look at that. Wow, I gotta get a picture of this. The whole reason they made this because like I said, I let many people play my guitar. What you're looking at is John Francis has let people just play his guitar. What a concept! It plays nice, right? Yeah, I keep saying I don't want to work that hard. I absolutely. But anyway. So that's the deal with the pickups. They're Damasio Area 67s and a Satch track neck. Any other questions? played in Rush band. Alex Lifeson for sure. Andy Summers, because we ended up playing in the Police. And what is a boarding pass? It's not for today. Good. And I got to play in a something that was supposed to be a band with Stuart Copeland for a minute. And I had to hold myself back from asking him Andy Summers questions. But I'm a big Andy Summers fan. I'm a big Prince fan. So going back really early, at 14, I was hanging out with a lovely young lady. Are we streaming live or are you just filming? Okay, cool. I'm not going to say names. But at 14, I was hanging out with this lovely young lady, and her mother was not in the home. And we were hanging out on the couch talking. And she had put a record on. And I was like, who's this? She'd go, it's this new guy, Prince. I'm like, okay. Talking some more. Who is this again? Prince. It's not get new guy Prince. I'm like, can I borrow this record? She goes, sure. I got up, took the record, put it in the sleeve, and went home. I cannot lie about that. I mean, it was just like, whoa. I mean, it was new. I never heard on that second Prince record. There's two Bambi, like there's two rock songs on there, and I was not familiar with that guitar sound at all. And I was like, well. And then I got into Zeppelin. I got into lots of guitar players. Eric Johnson almost made me make my friend drive off the road because I heard that. I heard Cliffs of Dover on the sound page in Guitar Player magazine, and I was like, ooh, stop the car. We're on the highway. Stop the car. I don't care. Who is this? And it was like everything I wanted to sound like. And I'm a big Andy Timmons fan. I've known Andy for 30 plus years. I like music. I was a Nile Rodgers fan. I am a Nile Rodgers fan. Different kind of guitar playing, you know. I don't have a straight scene in this patch. But Chic in the whole disco era, I mean, Nile Rodgers was like Mr. Funk guitar player. And then going back to Prince being the funk guitar player. Do I have... Nope, I don't have any straight... So I got into... To the Prince funk and then the Nile Rodgers funk. It's a different kind of thing, and then James Brown funk. And what was cool about the James Brown thing is there was a lot of more of the old school thing. So you have several guitar players in the band. Not everybody's playing full chords. They had to break it up so there's room for everybody sonically. And the band mixed itself, you know. So if you're playing a three-note chord. Whereas if you're one guitar player, anyway, so I got into like a lot of different rock players, and then really I'm self-taught, but I sometimes say community taught because I always hung out with cool guitar players. But Group of 10, the guy who turned me on to NAS guitars was Steve Stevens from Billy Idol's band. He is from Far Rockaway. He was a little older. He was the local guitar hero, and then the guys I hung out with, the jazz guy, I'm not going to mention his age, the jazz guy ended up in a very popular death metal band. years later. And my friend John Levin, who could figure out everything from Van Halen to Yngwie to George Lynch, plays in Dokken now. He's been the guitar player in Dokken for a long time. Jeff Thal, guy that I got into delays with. He played in Brian Ferry for a while, and so I was always around some really cool guitar players, and in all different styles. And like I said, I hung out with John Levin, and the other guys. There was a blues guy. I was the funk guy. John was like the rock guy. There was another guy who was the jazz guy that would come in and go. We'd be like, "Oh, cool! What was that?" And then I'd show him some funk stuff, or somebody show me some licks and stuff like that. And the one guy would be like, "Check this chord out. It's an E harmonic 9 minor 7 dash Ford pickup truck." And we're like, "Dude, you're gonna break your fingers." That guy ended up at a death metal band and rocking it too. So. Yeah, he's not doing that right now, but yeah. What time is it? Oh, all right. Shall I play a little bit more, or do you have more questions? Yes.
At some point during this, can you remind everybody that your website is larrymitchell.com and that you have some very reasonably priced, great merchandise?
Yes, I will do that soon. If I can remember LarryMitchell.com. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I do have some CDs up here. I've been traveling for 7 weeks. I've been to Australia. I've been in Florida. And we're down to bare bones merchandise that I have with me. And in the state of the music business, I sell shot glasses. Normally, I'm sold out, sorry. But shot glasses, yo-yos, and coloring books, as well as a few CDs here and there. Because most people go, "I don't have a CD player," or people stream it, which is cool. I understand. But so when I say I have yo-yos left, it's not a code for anything. I have signature yo-yos, matches the logo in my guitar. I have signature yo-yos, real yo-yos. Shot glasses, they're gone, and coloring books are gone as well. But I do LarryMitchell.com. I have merchandise as well there. Well, that considering I don't drink and I sell shot glasses, that might work. But I'm definitely allergic to spicy food. That would put me in the hospital like that. Yeah. Like what people go, "Oh, it's not that spicy." I'm like, no. I can't sell a guitar to pay for the ambulance ride, You guys have seen me a bunch of times. Any particular song you want to hear? Robin? Lloyd? Okay. All right. Just thought I'd check. Did you have a question? About 4 pounds. Oh, actually, no, less. I mean, more. It's semi-hollow. It would be really light if I left it alone, but I have a Ghost synthesizer system in here and piezo pickups. But normally the semi-hollow is super light. Yeah. You want to try it? Sound-wise, because it's semi-hollow, it's a little bit more rounder. I did not do the honoring. Did I do that? No, I didn't do the honoring. I will do that. I'll close with that. All right? So my first record came out in it'll be 30 years next April. And it's definitely like probably the heavier stuff I've ever done. And I was on the Joan Rivers show and I had to play songs from that first record. It was a trip. It was a trip. We had done the record. I was waiting for the record to come out because back then you did a record and you had a long wait period. And a guy from the record company called up, goes, "Hey, we got this TV show we want you to do." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What show?" And they said, "The Joan Rivers Show." I'm like, "Did you say the Joan Rivers Show?" Said, yeah. It's like, "Why am I playing the Joan Rivers Show?" He goes, "It'll be great. It'll be great publicity." And then he could hear the nervousness, and he goes, "Don't worry, none of your friends will ever see it." I'm like, "How's it great publicity if none of my friends?" Anyway, I show up, and I show up with all this stuff used to be in a 16-space shock mount rack and a 10-space shock mount rack and a bunch of 412 cabinets. Now it's in a little box here. And they go, "I don't know if we can power that." I go, "This is a TV studio. This is the same power as one of those lights or less." So they measure it, and then they say, "Okay, you can use it." And the other thing was the guy told me at the last minute, say, "It's kind of a competition." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, the theme of the show is called Wannabe Rock Stars." And I'm like, "Do I have a record deal?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Why am I doing the show?" And he goes, "Don't worry, just don't tell them you have a record deal. Do the show, and magically, shortly after, your record will come out, and it'll be cool." I'm like, "Okay." So I get there, we do it. There's 3 guys, I'm in the middle. They had us stand in a hallway, not in a green room. We stand in the hallway, probably because we're musicians. I don't know, they want to put us in the green room. And the first guy goes out, and he comes back, and he's like, "That was the hardest thing I've ever done." We're like, "Why?" And he just didn't say why. So then Joan interested me, and now we have an electric guitar, Larry Mitchell, like I'm 5. So I come out there. Now, I'm 24 years old. At 24, you're always trying to get your best sexy on. You know what I mean? So I come out, Joan is like looking down. She's already introduced me. She's looking down, and I'm like, and the song I'm doing is called The Seduction. I'm not going to play that song now. I'm going to play a different song, but she's looking. I'm like, "Oh, crap." And I go to the background track plays, and I start playing, and I look up, and they bus people in from nursing homes. There was a clear space in front, and they loaded the audience from the nursing home right in front of the stage. So I come out, I'm like, and there's nobody, and I'm nothing wrong with being, I'm 50, I'll be 55 in less than a month, and we all get there, but there was nobody under 85 in front of me. Nobody. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm playing the wrong music in 1990. No, they heard me. Oh, yeah. There were 2 ladies in the front going. And I didn't know you could move around in a wheelchair with a IV pole. So I'm just like, people are like, and I'm going, I gotta look away, and I look at Joan, and she's just like, I look back, Joan, back. I could hear people screaming at the top over there, and I'm like, I gotta look up there. And again, I'm trying to get I got on a zebra vest, and I'm trying to get my sexy on, and I'm just failing miserably. But anyway, to make the long story short, I can't do the whole story. Involves playing with Rick Ocasek and Billy Squier at the same time, and showing up to play the Lighthouse benefit in Montauk, and standing there after performing with Billy Joel, introducing me to other really, really, really famous people. And I met Crystal Taliaferro, who plays with Billy Joel and a bunch of people. And she's talking, and she goes, "You look familiar." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool." And her brother comes up, goes, "Crystal, this is the guy we saw on the Joan Rivers Show." And Billy looked at me like, "Why were you on the Joan Rivers Show?" I was trying to support my record, Not all of us can sell multi-platinum. So this is a song from that record. Kind of like, whoop, see. We're gonna stop, but I'm gonna do just one more thing, for Veterans Day, right? This is called "Unforgotten." Thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening, for hanging out. Thank you, Replay, for bringing me back. I had a great time last time, and I had a great time this time as well. I believe I'm going to be teaching for the rest of the day, so some of you are here for lessons, and figure out what you want to do if you have an idea. Otherwise, I'll give you what I think we should do. I do have a few CDs left and yo-yos, actual yo-yos. And thank you guys so much.